Hello gamers and welcome back. I'm Rob, of course, or Warjack if you want to call me by my in-game name, and we are at our last card review for the Knights of the Frozen Throne. It has been a journey. We have covered basically all the cards at the end of this video. We have covered all of the cards. We've discussed them. We've guessed what's going to be good, what's going to be bad, and from there, it's just waiting till the expansion hits to actually play with these cards and test them in our deck. So with that, off to the running start. We've got the Bone Baron, a 5-mana 5/5 rogue death rattle card. And it says Death Rattle, add 2/1/1 skeletons to your hand. So as we know, the Rogue uses the combo mechanic, which requires them to play cards, well, you know, cards before they play the combo card, hence combo mechanic. And I think this will help that out a decent amount. You know, a 5-mana 5/5 isn't bad, plus it has Death Rattle, so it's going to follow that synergy. And there's been a couple cards that we've covered in the previous review that has allowed Death Rattles to have a little bit more synergy within the Rogue class. Will this particular card push it to be really good? Probably not, but it's decent. You know, having cards like this only makes it a little bit better, right? You know, this isn't like some next level shit Bone Baron's coming out. You better, you know, our boots are quaking. Not really, but it's more so one of those cards that's like, all right, we've killed Bone Baron, now he gets 2/1/1s. Is he gonna combo those with Van Cleef? You know, he now has a turn 6 play for, you know, a 1-mana skeleton into a Vile Spine. If this would generate 2 like spells, that'd be fucking crazy. Like, if this would have gave any sort of spell, I think it would be astronomically so much better. Like, Death Rattle gain, not a coin, because they've done that too many times. It needs to be a little bit cooler than a coin. Like a spell that says summon a 1/1, like a 1-mana spell that says summon a 1/1 skeleton. That would be fucking nuts, right? But just the skeletons themselves, put a little base cap on here and make it so it's not as powerful as what it could be, which I think is good, but at the same time, makes it not necessarily that great. Moving to the next one, the Spectral Pillager, the 6-mana 5/5 combo, deal damage equal to the number of other cards you've played this turn. So basically, if you prep out a bunch of shit or you already have an auctioneer, you know, rogues can play, I've seen them play, you know, half their deck some turns. You know, they get double coin, they start with a coin, they have 2 counterfeit coins in their deck, they've got prep, you know, they fan of knives, they draw a bunch of shit, and they're going fucking in, they hallucination into like another innervate or a prep if they're playing against a rogue or a druid. They do crazy shit. So cards like this could have an astronomically huge impact, but more times than not, this card's going to deal roughly 2 to 4 damage, I think, is where you can place this card at. And in combination with cards like Sherazin, that's going to benefit off a large quantity of cards being played, Van Cleef, Questing Adventure, you know, Auctioneer with spells like I mentioned before. I think there's room for a card like this in Miracle Rogue, just because of the amount of cards they play per turn. I mean, even if this only gets 2 or 3 cards, that's all it really needs to get value. You know, a 6-mana 5/5 deal 2 or 3 damage is pretty good, especially where it doesn't say you can use it. You can use this on a creature or your opponent's face. There's nothing stopping you. And plus, you can save this up for a really big combo turn if you feel like you need to do 15, you know, maybe not 15, but, you know, 6 to 10 damage in one turn. It's not really that impossible. Granted, this does cost 6 mana, so you only have 4 mana to play with, but if you've got coins and preps and all that good stuff, you've got some go-go juice there. Plus the skeletons, the card that we just went over, you know, it's going to give you 2 skeletons that are 1/1 each. That's going to help, you know, allow you to fuel the fire without actually using a lot of gas, because those cards were just generated off a Death Rattle that got value anyway. So I don't think this is necessarily the worst card in the world. I think it's only going to be, I don't think it's going to, I don't want to say it's a tech for a Miracle Rogue, but Rogue is a class that all the cards in the deck are there for a very specific purpose, and any card that doesn't routinely follow this very specific purpose of drawing more cards, obtaining value, cycling through the deck, like, there's not a lot of room in the Rogue, you know, deck right now for a lot of these wacky cards, and this I would consider more so of like a tech-in Rogue card for specific situations. So will it be played? Maybe 1. I don't think 2 of these at all. I think 1 of them, if anything. But maybe it fits into a Rogue deck that we don't know yet. Maybe Miracle Rogue changes, and this is the card that, you know, they play 2 of. Or Auctioneer goes bye-bye, and then all of a sudden 2 Spectral Pillagers is on the map. Who knows? Who knows? The next card we're going to talk about is going to be the Death Revenant. It's a 5-mana 3/3. Stats are horrible, but it says Battlecry, gain 1/1 for each damage minion. So basically, to get value out of this to the nearest senses, there has to be at least 3 damage minions on the board. Again, this can be your board or your opponent's board. It doesn't matter which board. If there's a damage minion, this guy is benefiting from it. And if we're gonna move on to the Warrior Legendary next, which I'm so fucking sad about, but I mean, he synergizes fairly well with this. And then basically the whole Warrior kit right now is creatures surviving damage and taking damage. And that's where everything is basically revolving around right now. And there's not even like a rage and enrage effect right now. It's like take damage, summon a 2/2 ghoul, and that's great and all, but a 2 ghoul isn't gonna fucking win a game. Like, oh, I summoned a 3 mana 1/4 that's gonna summon a 2/2. Hardy har, I already used a card to generate the card, and now I got a 2/2 ghoul. Hoopty hoo. Like, we need something like Patron to make this shit good, and the Patron is dead. It's in Wild, and I don't really play Wild. So this card, it's gonna need at least 3 activators for it to be good, and playing a 5 mana 3/3 on turn 5 is absolutely trash. So it depends how well this goes, right? You go like Whirlwind, like let's say it's turn 8, right? Your opponent has 4 or 5 cards on the board. You go Whirlwind, you drop this bad boy. He's a 5 mana 6/6, or he's a 7/7. You drop Sleep with the Fishes. Sleep with the Fishes clears up most of your opponent's board, and you've been able to generate a 6/6 or a 7/7 and clear most of your opponent's board. Yeah, I guess that's okay. But I think, it all depends. It all depends. It's hard to say, guys, but I don't think it's that great. Kind of depressed. So the Warrior Legend at Death Knight, I was really hoping this card was going to be good. Like, oh man, I went to bed every night and I was like, please make Control Warrior again, please don't let me down. They let me the fuck down, guys. All right, so 8 mana, 5 armor, Battlecry, equip a 4/3 Shadow Mourn that also deals damage to adjacent minions. You're like, Rob, but that sounds so great. A 4/3 weapon, it's attack, and then the adjacent shit takes damage. You're like, wow, it's gonna get the possibility of killing 3 minions. Fantastic. Yeah, this is what sucks right here. Blade Storm, 2 mana, hero power, deal 1 damage to all minions. But Rob, this has synergy with all of the things that say when it survives damage, it's gonna combo. That's great. It really is. You know what's greater? All of the other hero powers. Look at Warlock. Deal 3 damage, gain 3 life. Druids at +3 attack or 3 armor. Mage, you know, if it kills a minion with its hero power, it gets a 3/6. Warlock, not Warlock. There's one more that's really good. Can't think of it off the top of my head. It's not the Hunter, the Paladin one. You know, summon a 2/2 every turn, and if you have all 4 of them on the board, you win the game. How does this compete with that? How does this compete with that at all? It doesn't. It doesn't compete with that. There's no competing. It's already lost before it starts. And you'd be like, well, Rob, the deck doesn't, it's not supposed to be super control-y. It's supposed to get random effects off of the effects that take the damage and make the random effects. Why? Why random effects to summon shitty minions? No, if we had Grim Patron or something like Grim Patron that like this benefits, like there's a big minion in our deck, this synergizes super well with it, and that's what we set up for, is a big board flood or something that like was really good with this. We have nothing really good with this. Maybe the next expansion there's something good, but if you even compare this to Quest Warrior, this is just solely bad. Like Quest Warrior for 2 mana, I get to deal 8 damage every turn. Why would I ever play this over Quest Warrior? Not that Quest Warrior is really fun to play. You'd be like, well, Rob, not everything could be as good as Quest Warrior. You know, they have to make room for other stuff. And okay, well, if it doesn't have, I agree. If you just keep making stuff better and better, it's just horrible, right? You're just in this constant flux of constant things being outdated and out nerfed because they just keep printing, you know, cards that are just slightly better. But they could print cards that are compatible with other cards that the synergy within them makes them better than the quest. You know what I'm saying? Solely to get as one card, it makes it not the greatest, but when you combine that with other stuff or a deck revolving around it, all of a sudden the card is really good. Or you could put a card that counters or at least competes with it, is on relatively the same power level, right? But this isn't even anywhere fucking near anything. This is just horrible. This is so tragically, I am so fucking disappointed. And this was the last Death Knight Legendary too. I was like, oh man, they're brewing something spicy for Warrior. I'm feeling it. It's gonna be so good. Dude, I was dropped so far off like a building onto a very hard place that I got smothered and covered and smushed and bushed. Oh man, I got bamboozled and woozled. This was so bad. I'm so disappointed. I can't even look at this anymore. Get off my screen. The next one's going to be the Khari Enchanter. 3 mana, 1/5. Your end of the turn effects trigger twice. Cards like the Warlock card we went over, I believe, 2 reviews ago, or it does 1 damage, or at the end of the turn, it's going to trigger stuff like that twice. You know, stuff like Ysera, Rag, anything, again, that triggers at the end of this turn. It's going to trigger twice, so I think it's pretty good. You know, 5 HP makes it so it can stick around for a while. It's not necessarily the best card you're going to want to play on turn 3, because a lot of these cards that have the end of the turn effects are they occur much later in the game. They cost much more mana, and a lot of them you can't even play with this guy. It's not like you can drop to him and the card and then you get the effect, right? Unless it's like Baron Geddon, then it's going to do 4 damage. But this is a card you basically set up beforehand. So will it be played? Due to the fact that you can't play them at the same time for the most part, I don't know. Maybe, but I don't think so. I think as good as this is, due to the fact that it's limited in only those particular cards and it's not really statted to be just okay. Like if this was a 3-mana 3/3, I would play it. Just because if this 3-mana 3/3 can still be used for other stuff, right? You're not dependent on its ability. Even when it gets its ability, it becomes even better. But just like this, I don't think I'll run this card. The next card is going to be the Grim Necromancer, a 4-mana 2/4 Battlecry summon 2/1/1 skeleton. So he's basically a 4/6 for 2 mana, and it's a Battlecry, so it has some synergies with other shit. And the reason I say it's a 4/6 is because 2/1/1s count as a 2/2, and you add 2/2 to 2/4, and it's 4/6. But it's just split on different bodies, so it makes it a little bit more prone to AOE cards like Maelstrom Portal and stuff like that. But I think it's a pretty good card. I don't think it's a bad card at all. I think it might be found in some like token decks or something like that, decks that revolve around having multiple minions on the board and they can benefit off buffing them or doing things like that. It's not a bad card at all. Not a bad card at all. Good in Arena. The Frost Rider. This was the card I was referring to in the episode prior to this, where I said you could freeze your own board. It's a 3-mana Battlecry, freeze your other minions, and it's a 4/4. So basically what I was thinking was you play your legendary shaman card. I can't remember that. Once we play with the cards, guys, I'll know the names of them, but right now there's so many cards I'm not going to memorize the name. It's just not going to happen. The new legendary shaman card, and then you would basically play both of your giants for free because you've overloaded enough times that game, and maybe another card, right? Because you have 1 extra mana. And fuck it, there's not an extra mana. And then you play this guy, and it's gonna freeze your 2 giants and your warlock or your shaman legendary, and then you're gonna make 2 more giants, which are gonna be free because you've paid the overload cost, and then you get your elemental, or not your elemental. Why can't I say that right? Shaman legendary back. So this guy actually has the potential to give a lot of value in regards to making that combo possible. And yes, you know, it's a really late game card, but I think it's really powerful. I feel like it has the potential to be exceedingly powerful. The next one's going to be Keening Banshee. 4-mana 5/5. Whenever you play a card, remove the top 3 cards of your deck. What the heller? What the heller? Oh, what are you going to be doing in my deck? Where are the plays here? I can see that, like, if this was, think about if this was reverse. It was like a 4-mana 2/2. Whenever you play a card, mill the top 2 cards of your opponent's deck or something like that. Ooh, that'd be so spicy. That'd like, I think that'd fucking break mill decks. But either way, I don't think this card's very good. I don't think there's any combos with you discarding cards from the top of your deck at the moment, so it's kind of just like, meh, what am I going to do with that? Night Howler, 4-mana 3/4. Whenever this minion takes damage, you gain 2 attacks, so he's basically a Gurabashi Berserker, but in a smaller form, right? And Gurabashi Berserker, I'm pretty sure costs 5 mana, and it's a 2/7. And this guy's a 4-mana 3/4. So you get 3 less mana and 1 more attack. And you get 1 less... bonus from when it takes damage. I think this card is dog shit. And it's not whenever it, I guess whenever it takes damage, not whenever it survives damage. I guess in this particular ability, it doesn't matter. Because like stuff like Rotface, whenever it takes damage, you want a card like Rotface, whenever it takes damage, you summon a random legendary minion, right? Because if they fireball it and kill it right away, you still want it to get its effect. But Rotface says whenever this survives damage, which means if they just kill it outright, it doesn't do anything. And a card like this says whenever it takes damage, so it makes it a little bit better. But because of this guy's ability, it doesn't necessarily matter because you're not generating anything after this guy dies. So I think it's shit. 4 mana, 2/3 taunt, Battlecry. So I'm gonna copy this minion. So obviously, if this guy gets buffed, you know, in any sort of palette, it's very similar to Doppelgangster, right? So yeah. So basically, this is a Doppelgangster, but it costs 1 less mana, and you're getting an extra HP, and it has taunt. But you wouldn't be using this because it has taunt, right? I guess you would if you were to be buffing it. So this wouldn't really go into like an evolve deck, right? It would just go into like a buff paladin deck because you value the taunt and the fact that it has more HP than the Doppelgangster. Yeah, it's not a bad buff paladin card. It just adds more synergy to class because right now like Doppelgangster is by himself, right? It's like there's no other card that's really like it and provides that kind of ability, but now you got another card like the Chain Gang. So that might help. It's an interesting card, I like it. Spell Weaver, 6 mana, 4/4, spell damage +2. I'm pretty sure there was the Kobold Geomancer or something like that, and it was a 4 mana, 2/2, +2 spell damage. So for 2 more mana, you're getting +2/+2. And you don't run this card because it's of its stats, you run the card because of its ability. So there'd be no point to run this card at all. It's just a shitty card that now Doppelgangster Evolve can pull out. You know, the 6 mana slot is really important. Moonglade Portal, Doppelgangster Evolve, stuff like that. So filling it with garbage like this makes the effect a little bit weaker overall. So I think that's the point of this guy, is to fuck over Doppelgangster Evolve because you'd never play this in anything. Yeah, if you're going for this spell power, you'd go with Kobold Geomancer. Like, it's just, that's the part of the combo. It's a cheap +2 spell power. The Skeletal Mancer, well, I didn't go really far for this name. What the fuck was this? Oh, that was Spell Weaver. It's the next one. Okay, no. This is Skelly Mancer, and the next one's Venomancer. It's gonna be big. 5 mana, 2/2, Death Rattle. If it's your opponent's turn, summon an 8/8 skeleton. Okay. You have my attention. So your opponent's not going to want to kill this. No. They're going to want to silence it, or they're going to want you to trade into it. So obviously, if your opponent has a taunt, you're not doing shit with this guy. Oh man. So this is high risk, high reward. Not like it. High risk, high reward. Is there any combos that I can think of off the top of my head with this guy that we might help? I mean, you'd play this guy, and then you'd have to use another card to get value. So you're basically using 2 cards, and you're going to pay, you know, at least 1 or 2 mana with that other card to get an 8/8 skeleton, and they can do other shit to disrupt this. So I don't think an 8/8 skeleton is necessarily worth what this guy has to offer. So again, this is a shitty Firelands portal card you could get, but at the same time, it could give you high value with the skeleton coming out later on. So again, high risk, high reward. The Venomancer. 5 mana, 2/5, poisonous, doesn't have taunt. It's pretty annoying. I mean, 5 HP is it's a lot for a poisonous card. It allows it to trade into multiple minions. But a lot of the time with poisonous cards is that you want them to be small, so you can trade into big minions. You don't really want to play a giant venomous creature because then you spend all your time attacking little creatures, and at that point you don't need venomous because you already paid a high mana cost and you expect that card to have a high HP count, a high attack count. So what makes poisonous so valuable is the fact that if they attach that onto only a 2 mana card, it becomes like you didn't really use that much value. You only spent 2 mana to kill your opponent's 5 mana or 6 mana or 7 mana card. So as the mana cost goes up and you give a poisonous tag to something, it actually makes poisonous worse because it's not worth the poisonous anymore, because that could just be a card that kills other things instead of a giant thing anyway. You know, this, like a poisonous 2 mana card does the same thing as this 5 mana card does. It just has HP, but again, you're attacking larger minions, so HP doesn't mean anything. You know, if you attack an 8/8, this is gonna die, just like a 1/2 would die, and you still kill the 8/8, but you spent more mana doing so with this. So it all depends on the mana cost, guys. I don't think that card's very good. So, this is the last card before we get to the Lich King. Lich King is it's juicy. It's a 4 mana, 1/1 Battlecry, gain 1/1 for each minion that died this turn. It's just bad. It is only good in certain occasions where you kill a bunch of minions 1 turn, and like, I just like cards that are good always. I want a card that's normally just good, and when in some situations it's really good. I've explained that so many times, and cards like this just don't meet that, so I don't like them. That's just how I am. Like some cards, you would play them for situational purpose, like Crazed Alchemist, right? But even that is a 2-mana 2/2. It can be used on your minions, your opponent's minions. It doesn't have to be used. Like most of the time, you can find a way for that to work. This card, the only way this is working is with after you've AoE'd. And if your opponent has a big board and you AoE, you're probably not in the best situation anyway. I don't know. It's probably not that bad, but I don't really like it. Next card, the Lich King. 8 mana, 8/8. Taunt. And at the end of your turn, add a random Death Knight card to your hand. So we've seen this before with the Pupper that we went over. I think it was Arpuppus or some shit like that. I don't know. Here, let me scroll down and look at the name. I should know this. Where is it? Arphis. I'm sorry. It's going to give you one of the same cards. We'll pull up the cards here. So again, at the end of each turn, it's going to generate one of these random of 8 cards. And if you have that 1/3 Khari dude that we went over, the 3 mana 1/5, it's going to trigger twice. So you actually can get 2 of these cards at the end of each turn. But remember, that card costs 3 mana. This card costs 8. And like I said before, you can't really play both of them the same turn. So on turn 7, if you play that card, and your opponent has seen that card, like you're not playing it off the top, they can assume you have Lich King and they're going to start saving their CC or play around it, right? Like you give off huge signs when you play cards like that. Plus, it's just a 1/5 on turn 7, and that shit's just going to die. But the good news is Lich King is good on his own at the end of the turn. You're getting one of these cards right away. You're already getting value, very similar to Ysera, Ragnaros, stuff like that. You're instantaneously paying a mana cost and you're getting value beyond what the minion can do. Plus, it's a longevity thing too. At the end of every turn, you're getting these cards. So if this card sticks around for a couple turns, you're getting an immense amount of value depending on which one of these you get. On top of that, he's Taunt, which means Taunt Warrior has an 8 mana card besides Primordial Drake now that generates large quantities of value as well, you know? So, and then Free from Amber. You got to think Free from Amber. That doesn't have a lot of really good taunt targets at the moment. You know, you've got like Sagoth and Giant Mastodon, but, you know, getting a Lich King from Free from Amber is looking pretty thick right now. So this is a really good card in control decks. Really, really good card. It's kind of slow. I think it's going to fall into the same category as Medivh, where people go, oh, it's a little bit too slow, you know. It takes time to get a lot of value. The meta's too fast right now. And then when the meta slows down, you know, here comes fucking the Lich King dominating your soul with an 8/8 taunt that's going to generate a card at the end of every turn, very similar to Ysera. And Ysera's been around a long time, and Ysera's still played. She's still a badass. So, with that, it's going to end our card review for Knights of the Frozen Throne. We have covered everything, all of the card. We've explored everything, all of the nooks and crannies, all of the ghouls and geese. We've seen it all, we've reviewed it all, and we'll be playing again with these cards on Thursday when the set's released. We'll be opening up a sizable amount of packs, and we'll be deck testing right out of the gate what we think are going to be some of the top decks. We're going to be, you know, messing with them and trying to make not only, you know, good decks, but fun decks as well. Because you know me, we were trying to look for the cool stuff that maybe some other people look over, which is what it's all about, just having fun, right? So with that, thank you for watching, and I will catch you in the next episode, of course, and I will see you guys, if not Thursday, if not sooner, if not later, who knows? I will see you guys soon. As always, I'm Robert Warshak, and happy whatever the hell day it is.